welcome back to Beauty Bee and to my 9-month update for my Project 100 uses. It's insane that we're already at 9 months. It's even more insane that it's been 9 months and I only have, I think, 5 items in the 100 club. Unfortunately, that number is not going to increase today, though I think I'm set up pretty well for next month on a couple of things. Let's just jump in with eyeshadows, really eye products in general. The first items that I have to talk about are my e.l.f. glitters. I count these just as one item, and I used these 5 times in the last month for a total of 22 uses. I think that is great. I want to say that about half of my total uses are on the rose gold glitter, which is the shade Flirty Birdie. This is the one I got first, and then a few months later I added these two. I've definitely gotten good use out of these two as well. I've just had this one for longer, but they're great. I'm really glad that I'm using them. I was kind of worried when I bought the first one that it wouldn't be something that I would remember to use. It wouldn't be something I ever thought to reach for, but I've been doing a good job of remembering that these exist, and I'm really happy about that. I've actually got 2 products that I've hit 50 uses on. The first is my NYX Glitter Primer. I used this 5 times in the last month for a total of 54 uses, and there is so much product left in this thing. I mean, I definitely have product up here still. So it's an insane value for money. I suspect that for most people, this would probably last until it dried out or went bad. It's probably not something you would use up unless you were someone who was using it every day, almost to foil shimmery eyeshadows. I really love this. I'm so glad I purchased this. Another item that I got to 50 uses on is my Maybelline City Mini palette. This is in the shade Chill Brunch Neutrals. I used this 16 times in the past month for a total of 51 uses. Now, I had this for years before I started this project, and I had pan on at least these 2 shades before I started the project. I think that I've added the pan in these 2 sets. Most of my use this month has been on this gold shade. It's been in my Pan Those eyeshadows, but I've also been using this off-white shade quite a bit, and I've used this shimmery brown shade more than you might expect. It is still probably the least used shade in this palette, perhaps rivaling the purple, but I have actually been using it and enjoying it in the past month. I have 2 eye products that I'm getting pretty close to the 100 use mark on. The first is this NYX Avant Pop palette. Clearly this is not the original NYX Avant Pop palette unless NYX likes to put their eyeshadows in palettes that say ColourPop. I have repressed my original palette, and here is what it is looking like today. This was originally a 10-pan palette. There have been so many changes made to this that it really doesn't look all that much like the original NYX palette. I use this cream shade every day to set my eyeshadow primer, so that is where the bulk of my usage from the past month has come from, which was 22 times. I don't think I said that earlier. However, I do use most of this palette pretty regularly. I've been dipping into this matte taupe quite a bit. That's actually a pretty good contour shade for me. This gunmetal blue shade is beautiful. I really like reaching for that in the outer corner. I'm doing something that's a little bit more blue or a little bit more gray. And this is a shade that I just didn't really appreciate until I took it out of the pan. Compared to everything else in the palette, it always looked super warm and bronzy. And bronze is an okay shade for me, but it's not one that I really think to use super often. But once I took it out and started combining it with other shades, I realized that this is more of a cool toned bronze. It's really pretty. Love this palette. If you have this sitting around in your collection gathering dust, I would highly recommend dragging it out and giving it a go. I have been really happy with this palette for years at this point. And I would give this, like, I would say there's probably a 90 to 95% chance that I will hit 100 uses on this in the next month. One that I don't think I will hit 100 uses in the next month on is my NYX Paladin Ash. This one I'm at 83 uses on. I've used it 8 times in the past month. So in 2 months, I think I should be at 100 uses, but likely not next month. I think though that I might be able to hit pan in this Ash Blonde shade in the next month. I have a really, really good dip going in there. Though these pans are actually pretty big. These are, I looked this up, 0.04 ounces or 1.2 grams. For comparison, a full-size MAC single is 1.5 grams. So these are 80% the size of a standard like MAC or ColourPop eyeshadow. Now let's move on to lip products. I actually got quite a few different items to the 20 use mark. The first one I'm not going to show you. It is my Bite lipstick in Negroni. I have now used that 22 times. I used it 13 times in the past month. I'm working on panning that, which is why I'm not going to show you it, because that would be a little bit of a spoiler, and I'm going to talk about that in probably excruciating detail in, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. But I'm making good progress on that. But other than that, it has been the month of e.l.f. I got 3 different e.l.f. lip products to the 20 use mark. The first is this Just Peachy Ride or Die Balm. I have used this 6 times in the past month for a total of 25 uses. I'm not wild about this, but it does make for an okay lip mask. Because I was working so much on that Bite Negroni lipstick, which was like a candy apple red, I was also getting quite a bit of use out of my red lip liner, which is from e.l.f. This, I believe, is just in the shade red, and that is not the right side. It has a little blender brush on one side that I don't think I've ever used. But on the other side, we have the product. I'm actually making really good progress in this. I think I'm maybe halfway through it, or a little less. Maybe I'm like 40% of the way through it. I don't really like that, actually, because I don't want to have to repurchase this. It is really nice, it's really useful, but it's just not a fun product that I want to spend my money on. And then finally, we have the e.l.f. Tea Rose Lip Lacquer. This is kind of a surprise. I got this to 20 uses. I've used it 4 times in the past month. This is admittedly kind of an ugly color, like in a swatch. I mean, it's an attractive color in that this is something that I would be willing to, I don't know, wear as a shirt, or maybe put an item of decoration in my room that was this shade. But on the lips, that is pretty horrifying. It does sheer out really nicely though. It gives sort of a purpley pink, which is definitely what I have been interested in. That's not working on my hand at all. On my lips, it sheers out to a really pretty purpley pink, probably because my lips are pretty pink. I'm not someone who's generally sensitive to scents, but this one kind of bothers me. It's very sweet, but in kind of a gross way. I don't know what it's supposed to smell like. There's part of me that thinks it's some kind of like flavored marshmallow. I feel like if you wet like a Lucky Charms marshmallow and then sniffed it up close, it might kind of smell like this. It's not very appetizing. I think that next month I should be able to get my Maybelline Pink For Me lipstick up to 50 uses. It is currently sitting at 47. I've used it 12 times in the past month. So I don't think that those 3 uses will be too big of a challenge. Also, I actually compiled these numbers, I don't think last night, but the night before, and I wore this yesterday. So I guess we're really at 48. But I am, I would say, a little over halfway through this lipstick. I'm trying to pan it this year, which is part of why I am using it so much. But it is a really lovely color. I've been using this on my cheeks as well as on my lips, and I think it's a really lovely shade for spring in particular. Another goal that I have for this month is to actually use my liquid lipsticks. I did not use a single one of these at all in the past month. So I want to use these 5 times total in between them. I suspect that I will end up getting the 5 uses almost exclusively between these two. These two colors are a little bit more fall winter for me, though I could see myself using this again in the spring. I have had this for a month, maybe even more at this point. I've used it once, which is ridiculous. I need to be better about that. The only item that I hit a goal on in the past month in my cheek category is my Tarte Park Avenue Princess Bronzer. This I used 5 times in the past month for a total of 24 uses, and I am actually starting to get the tiniest bit of a dip in there. I don't know if you'll really be able to see it. Honestly, in person, I can only kind of see it. But I'm glad that I'm actually starting to see progress on this after 3 years of owning it. Now, I have not used it consistently over those 3 years. Really, there was probably at least a year and a half in there where I maybe touched it once or twice. I just wasn't interested in bronzer. But I have been interested in bronzer again over these past couple months, and I've actually been getting use out of this as well as a couple other bronzers that I've added to my collection and really enjoying it. An item that I've really not been using recently, and I'm not sure why, is my Milk Makeup Lip and Cheek Tint. This is in the shade Work. It was the Sephora birthday gift last year. I have used this 0 times in the past month, and I only used it 3 times the month before. It is a pretty color. It is a peachy pink. It tends to go quite peach on me though. And I don't know why I haven't been using it. I need to make a point of that. My goal for this month was actually to use all of my cheek products at least once, and this is the only one that I didn't. So in the next month, that really needs to change. I want to use this a couple times. All right, so there's my update. This was not the most successful month. However, I think next month will be better. I think I will have at least 1 and potentially, but probably not 2 items to move into the 100 use club. I think that a few different items will move into 50 uses, and I'm sure that 1 or 2 things will hit 20 uses as well. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've been enjoying this project. If you are interested in previous updates, I will have those linked up in the cards. And I think that's all I have to say. Thank you again for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed, and I really hope that I will see you next time. Bye!